It'll be interesting to see. Angelic, that was his name.
Yeah.
Have you been watching that, by the way?
David Angelic.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that later on.
Yeah.
I think. Cool. Okay, the Fédération Française de Rugby à 13 has elected a new president in the shape of Marc Pelonc. Pelonc won 218 of the 332 available votes and becomes the 15th president of the FFR 13, following elections held over this weekend, and replaces Carlos Zaluendo of Toulouse. Zaluendo will also step down from the Rugby League International Federation Board, where he sat as one of the two RLEF nominated directors alongside Graham Thompson. FFR 13 will also appoint a new director to the RLEF board in due course.
Yeah, interesting changes in France.
Yeah, so he was a very popular player in the south of France, though,
Pelonc.
Monsieur Pelonc, wasn't he? So it's not surprising that he won with such a landslide, I would say.
Yeah.
And finally, Latin Heat North America coach, former London Broncos scholarship coach Juan Yasso was racially abused on a tram in Manchester city centre last week. Mr. Yasso from Todmorden, I used to live in Todmorden, is a US Army veteran who originally came to England in 1998. He plays a prominent role at amateur side Manchester Rangers, where he's a player coach. He was targeted by 3 youths during the incident on a tram on Tuesday morning, which was captured on camera and uploaded to YouTube. The sport lecturer at Manchester Metropolitan University and rugby league coach has spoken of how he decided to confront the rowdy passengers for using bad language. Footage taken by a fellow commuter shows one youth telling Mr. Yasso, "Don't chat shit when you're not even from England, you little fucking immigrant. Get off the fucking tram now, get back to Africa." What an articulate and intelligent young man. One of the youths, who all appear to be holding bottles of beer, then approaches and flicks alcohol from his bottle at Mr. Yasso. 2 men aged 18 and 20 were arrested and have been bailed by police, and a 16-year-old boy was also held for questioning. Mr. Yasso, who was a signals intelligence analyst for the US Army, told Channel 4 News, "It was a bit of a surreal moment because initially it was just me asking those individuals to watch their language. Obviously, it was really early in the morning, there were children about, and I could tell from other people's faces on the tram that they didn't really appreciate the language which they were using. So I thought I would step up and say something. I didn't really appreciate it either," he said. Obviously, you don't know what can happen from a situation whenever you challenge anyone because you don't know who they are, their background, or anything, and how they are going to react. Asked if he thought the political atmosphere surrounding Brexit, something that you're not particularly bothered about, Mark, I know, had contributed to the situation, Mr. Yasso said, "I think there was an undertone there before the voting with the referendum, but I think the result has maybe pushed people to somehow justify that they think it's okay to now act out in this way," which it's obviously not. It's not acceptable in any terms, in any way, shape or form, because obviously people feel threatened by it, and, people are coming here to contribute. And no matter what anybody says, they have the right to come here and choose to live here, and they should not be discriminated against for that. Mr. Yasso said it was only the second incident of his type that he had experienced in 18 years in the UK. Numerous things. Bravo, Juan.
Well, we can't really stand here in this glass house and criticise people for swearing too much, but the sort of way these use
But what we don't do, Mark, is do it in a public forum in front of children. I'm not pissed while we're doing it, despite what people might think at times. And what we're also not being is massively prejudiced, racist, or in any way bigoted towards people when we do swear. So
and grossly inaccurate in that.
Precisely, yeah. They were windmilling them kids more than anything else, weren't they? They completely missed his ethnic background. So, yeah.
There's a lot of places to land with Yasso as well.
It was harder to miss than it was to hit, wasn't it? It was easier to miss. I don't know. It's great to see. It's not a rugby story really, apart from the fact that he's associated with a rugby league club. From my point of view, it's something that we as a society need to challenge more. Is this kind of antisocial behaviour in the right environments? And it's not easy to do, and it can be intimidating. But these little Herberts all of a sudden have got the wind in their sails from some of the stuff that's going on politically here in the UK, and I think those of us who are more sensitive to, the feelings and rights of others, no matter where we stand in the political spectrum, are able to marry those two things off and not actually act like massive racists.
We know that we'll have a massive proportion of our listenership based on the vote, based on where we live, based on what we know of a lot of the people who listen to us, who will have voted to leave. But we also know that those people aren't vile, ignorant racists.
Of course not.
and they would agree with what you've just said.
Yeah.
I just think we don't use this as a political standpoint. We're not going to talk about our own personal beliefs and views on those sorts of things. But racism, in this nature, in sort of seen as it's almost like these lads felt they were allowed to do what they were doing,
empowered by the vote
in whatever way they were behaving, whether it was empowered by the vote or just empowered by the culture of the times. It's a shame, and whilst we don't want to get too political, Super League Pod wants to stand up against things like racism and and things like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we live in a world where, again, I'm not talking about our own political opinions, but isn't it brilliant that we live in a country where we've got the right to make votes and have our opinions heard rather than just being herded into a van and told to vote a certain way. Do you know what I mean? It's not about people's decision-making processes, it's about the extremes of certain decision-making processes and the extremes of certain factions that feel that this is tolerable. To be fair, these look like three little dickheads, basically, just shouting their mouths off.
But maybe we're. It's just alcohol.
Yeah.
Poor education system, whatever it might be, that's contributed to these sorts of outbursts. We don't want to see them in rugby league.
Yeah, and kudos to Wan Yasso for standing up for it as well, because that's exactly what will put an end to stuff like this gradually, I would say.
Yes.
Not just standing idly by.
Yeah.
Right, that's the news from around the world of rugby league. Let's take a look back now at round 20 of Super League. Right, so before we get into round 20 of Super League, we did want to cut in with a little bit on the Challenge Cup quarterfinals. Now, I know I discussed them very quickly last week because I had to do a lot of cutting, but we both felt it was important that we get people's views in on that because people did take the time to get in touch with the show, and that's important, and we want to pay respect to that. So, on the Huddersfield-Wakefield game, which Wakefield won 28 points to 16, Tyler Casfan got into it was an entertaining game. Wakefield thoroughly deserved the win, but they will be the favourite choice of the other semi-finalists. I believe Warrington got them in the semi-finals, didn't they? And you got... who did you end up with?
Hull,
yeah. So, I think I'd rather be Warrington. Warrington beat Widnes by 20 points to 18. Tyler got in touch again. He said after a slow burn for 20 minutes, the game ended up being a cracker. Dwyer off the bench is a real weapon. Gutted for Widnes, but both teams gave it their all. Sam Rowlett got in touch. It's not often we hear from her these days. She said, not a class game by any means. Was tough enough to watch at the Halliwell Jones, so God knows what it was like to watch on TV. Wyatt far from their best, gifted Widnes 2 tries and should have killed the game when on top. But saying that, I'll take any sort of win against the Smellies and knock out Rugby League for that matter. Elliot Wrench, Wyatt are firing on many cylinders but just got the job done again. Against Hull it was Butterfingers. Now it would seem they are crap at kicking. Just couldn't catch a player. Widnes looked on top but mistakes came and Gids kicks made the difference. Paul O'Brien, who's a Widnes fan, said great performance by the Vikings. If we just learn to play a little smarter and stop giving away stupid penalties, we could have won this. Tyler got in touch again. He got across all the games this weekend, did Tyler, on the 22 points to 8 victory between Hull and Catalan. He says, well done Hull, solid 80-minute display. Sneyd bossed it. Catalans will never win anything while they've got two players who can't last much more than 10 minutes at a time and take up too many of the team's interchanges. # fat not fit.
Do you know what Tyler's done?
Go on.
He's saved the link for the Google form, because the Google form doesn't move.
Yeah.
The things in it move, but the form itself doesn't. So if you favourite the link for the form in your browser, on your phone, or on your tablet, or on your laptop,
you'll always have it. He's a clever lad, that time.
Yeah.
Going places, that kid. He's one I'd like to have a pint with, except I feel like he might not be old enough to drink.
He's in sixth form, isn't he? So
he's fucking...
I think he's in first year of sixth form.
Oh, well, snake bites all round then, no bother. On the 26 points to 12 victory for Wigan over Castleford, Tyler said Wigan deserved it on their first half performance, good defence and took their chances. Cass much better in the second half and nilled Wigan. And never try the fuckwit video ref. Yeah, I couldn't agree. What did you think of the ghost try? You wouldn't have sat here and tried to somehow make excuses for the video ref, would you?
No,
It's not a try, Mark.
No, I think it was exactly the same. So, I don't think he missed it by as much as people make out. In fact, I think he touched the ball.
Was it a try?
No, just like the Ryan Hall one against Australia a couple of years wasn't a try. It wasn't a try. But I do think he touched the ball as the ball was grounded. But I just don't think it was downward pressure. I think he hit the side of it with the fucking knuckle of his little finger. It was not. And
if Ryan Hall doesn't get it against Australia, you lot don't get it against Cass. That's how
both of them weren't tries.
Yeah. Precisely. Okay, and Mark Illingworth, he got in touch. He said, long-time listener, first-time game reviewer. The better team won. Wigan better at doing what was needed at both ends of the pitch. And no, I don't think it was a try. There you go. Fair enough. Mark Illingworth, look at you contributing to our podcast.
Well, I thought you were going to read them out. But obviously you had 15
didn't have a chance to.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that means that Hull play Wigan at Doncaster's Keepmoat on the 29th of July at 8 p.m. and Warrington will face Wakefield at Leigh Sports Village on the 30th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Games will be televised live on BBC Two and BBC One respectively. Are you going to Doncaster for this one?
Well, Liam doesn't want to go because it's too far for him to get up the next morning.
Right.
We don't normally take... Basically, an hour and a half is our max journey on a Friday night.
Okay.
For Liam to get up, because he gets up for 5:30 to go on farm.
Right.
So I think...
And is that Friday night then, the 29th?
Yeah, so I think I might be going on my own at the moment if I'm going. I've not bought my tickets yet.
If you buy a ticket, we buy me one, I'll come with you if you're going. Because that's something I could definitely do.
Okay.
I'll come along with that. Okay, cool. Right, okay, so let's talk about round 20 of Super League then. It seems like a long time ago. Huddersfield took on...
Was this weekend?
Well, Thursday night seems like a long time ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Always going to go back to the Thursday night game. That always seems like a long while ago. And Huddersfield took on Hull FC down at what apparently is the JJB Stadium, if you listened to last week's Super League pod, but we all know it's the John Smiths, and came out with a 22 points to 12 victory. And despite the two teams' respective league positions, there wasn't really a great deal between them on the pitch, and actually it was nice to see Huddersfield showing some of what they're capable of doing. Hull obviously impacted quite seriously by the loss of Frank Pritchard. He played very small minutes early on and I believe went off injured. But
they were also missing a few other players though, weren't they?
Huddersfield were missing players.
There was no Jamie Shaw.
No Jamie Shaw. But Huddersfield were also missing players. Danny Brough was out.
Oh yeah.
And he's very, very important to anything that Huddersfield do attacking-wise. Jake Connor had an absolute worldie of a game. Like, they were talking about it on Sky about the reverse psychology that Lee Radford had used in the build-up to the game, saying, Jake Connor doesn't need to prove anything to us. We know what sort of a player we're getting. But Jake Connor proved fucking plenty.
He played on the wing, this week. Did he?
He played all over he did stints all out across the three-quarter line. He was exceptional. It was the best I've ever seen Jake Connor play.
I saw a couple of the highlights. He scored a ridiculous try and then tried to score another and didn't get it, did it? Is that right? Is that from this game?
Yes.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. It was all over the place.
Was that the Wakefield?
No, that was the quarter final.
No, he played on the wing in that game and scored a great try. No, I didn't see any of this game. I was still in the.
I'm still thinking of this. He was tremendous. He played across because they chopped and changed things around at different times. Huddersfield, really well coached by Andy Kelly, who goes this week, so it'll be interesting to see how they get.
Well, I think he's talking about
his departure,
staying on another week before he goes and joins his scholarship lads.
Well, that'll be interesting. That might have an impact on my picking
at this stage.
But Jake kind of ran the ball
just because now whilst there's still a chance of them getting into the middle eight, I think they want to
keep that continuity if they can.
Then once they get into the middle eight, if they get into
once they know where they're at,
if they get into the Super 8s, they'll be right at the bottom of it, and they won't have a chance of really getting to the top four. So it doesn't matter what they do then.
Yeah,
they can do what Hull FC did last year and sort of
blood people
work towards next year.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Jake Connor was absolutely barnstorming. And it was good. It was good to see. And Hull never really got going. I was expecting something from Mark Sneed, and
I was still really in Edwardian turn of the century land. So
I like that picture.
I didn't see this game.
I saw that picture you posted and thought that is not necessarily Emma's choosing, but that really plays into her kind of enjoyment of all things not retro. What's it called? Vintage.
Yeah. So I didn't see any of this.
So you didn't see that one, but no, it did deserved win for Huddersfield in the end.
Okay.
What did the stats tell us?
Well, there's actually the tight on the numbers, but Hull FC probably edged most of them. Notably, they made 6 fewer errors and conceded 3 fewer penalties, along with a 2% better team tackle success. 3 breaks to 2 and 4 tries to 2 were the all-important numbers in the home side's favour, though. Individually, Jerry McGilvery 2 tries, 145 metres, 2 clean breaks. Mike Lawrence with a try and 41 tackles. Sam Rapira had 139 metres and Earl Crabtree 102. On the other side of things for Hull FC, Danny Houghton, 2 try assists for